Well, good morning, Grace Church. You know what? Happy Maundy Thursday, by the way, as we continue to move our way through the course of this week towards Easter. I was just looking up recently because not coming from a liturgical tradition, didn't really understand the meaning of Maundy Thursday, but it really means love one another. Christ's words, love one another as I have loved you. And I thought, well, that was pretty much the content of our devotional yesterday, so I don't want to just repeat it again today. And so I was thinking about what I'd want to share this morning, and that took me to my basement. You're probably wondering, what's he doing in his basement? Well, I'll tell you what I'm thinking. You ever notice there's certain rooms in your house that you're going to let people into fairly regularly? I don't know about you. We have a living room sort of at the front of our house. And so that's the place where if people come over and they visit and we're going to spend any time with them, they kind of come in through the front door. There's the foyer and you want that to be nice and tidy. And then there's the front rooms. And again, as well, you sort of want those to look really nice and clean and tidy. And so those are your presentation rooms. And they're usually in pretty good condition. But then there's the rooms that people spend less time in, or at least you're going to invite strangers in less. And maybe that's the family rooms at the back of the house and places. And you notice the farther and farther you get from what people can see, well, the less attention you seem to pay to, well, how tidy those rooms are. And as you make your way through the whole house, the reality is then you get to the basement. Right? Who do you want in your basement? Like, nobody ever seems to go in your basement. And so the basement, well, at least for a lot of us, can kind of wind up to be a bit of a mess, right? So I don't know if you can see mine, and we put some effort into it. It's not that we completely neglect it altogether, but the reality is, man, it sure doesn't look like the part that we want everybody to see. And I really thought about that because, our lives are a lot like that. There's the parts of ourselves that other people are going to see, and we spend a lot of attention really tidying those up so that other people can, well, their perception of us is going to be better, just like the front room in the house. And so we spend all our time working on that. And then there's other areas that we spend some attention on, but really not as attentive as, well, maybe we could. And if somebody was going to walk in those areas, we might be a little embarrassed, but we'd certainly tidy them up real quick. But then I think each one of us has a basement in our life. There's that area of our life that we spend almost no time in. And it's where we hide everything that we don't want anybody to see. And quite often for a lot of us, it's a real mess. And, well, yeah, it's embarrassing. And in our spiritual lives, it's like that. And there's that part of our lives that we don't want anybody to know about. And we could go on and on about what those are. It's different for every single one of us. But we each have a basement in our walk with God. Things in our life that we wouldn't want anybody to see. And they really need to be cleaned up. But it's a lot easier for us just to pack them away and hide than it is to deal with it. And I was thinking about that, though, because the interesting thing is, this is being Easter week. We're moving towards Christ's death on the cross on Good Friday, what's going to be tomorrow. And I think we forget that, Jesus didn't just die for the front room in your house. He died for your basement. For the worst of the stuff, the things that you think that are just so unsightly, you'd be mortified if anybody else knew that they even existed. And yet Christ died for that too. And he knew that. He was omniscient. And yet he died for that part of your life as well. So my mind went to actually 1 John 1:9, which is this, that if we confess our sins, he is faithful and just and will forgive us our sins and cleanse us from all unrighteousness. You know what? We have this incredible opportunity to take not just our front room, not just our lesser rooms, but to let him into our basement, that he can see absolutely everything. It just says this, it says that if we confess that, if we give that to him, he's going to forgive that. But even more than forgive that, it says that he's going to clean that up for us, that he will cleanse us from all unrighteousness, that he does the transformative work in our lives. I was putting that in context of our current situations here with the COVID-19 and all the things that are going on. Because you know what? In the midst of crisis, it's often been said, if you shake a glass, nothing comes out of a glass that wasn't in it to begin with. And I think for a lot of us right now, we're being shaken. And there's a lot of things that are coming out of us, a lot of uncertainty and fear, and sometimes lack of faith, and even frustrations, and so, man, that's pouring out of us. But there's nothing coming out of us that wasn't in us. And so it's a privileged opportunity. See, I think a lot of us, again, we want to hide that stuff, like put it in our basement. And Christ says, hey, I died for that too. He says, I want to clean that up. I want to deal with that stuff in your lives. And so crises like this, like times like this, really gives us an opportunity to come to terms with different areas in our life, our own lack of belief, our own frustrations, our demands on God, you name it. But if we confess those sins, He is faithful, and He is just, and He will forgive us those sins and cleanse us from all unrighteousness and put us on the right path and straighten us up. So I want to encourage you this day, the day before Good Friday, that you not just give Christ your front room, your presentable, but that you let Him into the basement of your life, that He might do His incredible work there as well. He knows it's there anyway. So let's let Him in. God bless, keep safe, and we'll see you tomorrow on our Good Friday live stream service.